Hello, I'm Jason. This is the imaginary axis. And wait a minute, that can't be right. Hang on. Hey, Vsauce, Michael here. God damn it, I still messed that up. Alright guys, I'm only kidding. So, how are we all doing today? It's me, KZ, and in today's video, we are talking about Treyarch Zombies again. Today's video, I'm going to put, I guess, a little table of contents, and this is what this portion is just to let us know what all we're talking about in today's video. So what we're talking about is relating the DC multiverse map that we've received from DC to Call of Duty Zombies, and trying to see what we might or might not really have picked up on and know, and what it might mean for Black Ops 4 and the future of Treyarch Zombies. We're going to be going over Monty quotes, Shadowman quotes, quotes from Jason himself, and little video clips of Jason talking about how he views the zombie storyline, how he's crafting it, and we're going to be talking about all sorts of theories and such. And shout out to Treyarch. They're doing a new event, and I believe they're actually releasing new gobblegums as of tomorrow, March 16th, I believe. But yeah, guys, so don't worry, I'm gonna keep covering as much stuff for Treyarch and World War II as it comes to me. Honestly, if an idea comes, I make a video on it pretty much right then and there. Sometimes it takes a little while, but sometimes it's dead quick. This one took a lot more work, and I'm gonna shout out to Rizzo, Reed, the imaginary axis, obviously, Vsauce, and who else am I gonna shout out? I think that's it. But yeah, shout out to all those guys. I love their content, and I just wanted to shout them out for referencing them, and in Reed and Rizzo's case, for using some of their stuff. All the quotes that are from Monty and the Shadowman come from Rizzo, and I will have links in the description below. All the clips and such of Jason come from RadAwesome27 or Reed, and I'll have those links in the description below, as well as little referencing on screen as they come up. So yeah, guys, enjoy the presentation. Let me know what you think about all of it down below. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, and let's get into it.
How's it going, everybody? Like I was saying in my my opening thoughts here, we're going to be going over a lot of topics today. First of all, I also want to shout out that my original opening statements and remarks were actually recorded 2 months ago-ish. So I'm recording this now on May 19th, so we've just had the Black Ops 4 reveal happen 2 days ago. And basically, guys, I just want to shout out as well that I'm also going to be, in a way, refuting and kind of devil's advocating and such Nick Zaru's most recent video that was talking about the context of biblical references and talking about the zombie storyline and biblical references. I'm not going to quote like nearly as much stuff from the Bible, just because while I do have the Bible and I can quote the Bible quite well, it's not about that for me. It's about trying to portray information that we do know and have for fact, such as the fact that I feel as though that Monty and the Shadowman are a lot more like two halves of a whole. Similar to Monty's example about the worm that splits off and both still live on. That kind of stuff is going to be what I'm going to be talking about in this video, as well as the same kind of concept as what Nick Zaru was talking about. I actually had that kind of video planned, like I said, about 2 months ago, after I watched some videos by the Imaginary Axis and a couple of other guys from the comics side of the universe, talking about things such as the DC multiverse map, which we're going to be talking about and showing in this video here. And basically, guys, we're going to get into it right now. So Nixar's video just talks about all the differing references and things that talk from the book of Revelations, the final book of the Bible, and the references that could be drawn to Monty and the Shadowman and the Keepers and the Apothicons. Now, unfortunately, I feel as though Nixar didn't portray it quite well, in the sense of, like, I don't think it's a bad video. I'm not trying to slander him or anything like that. I just feel as though we should be showing it more as the fact that demons, as far as they're actually concerned with to do with the Bible, there's not much reference to actual demons. And Lucifer himself in the Bible isn't actually a demon. He's a fallen angel and God's favorite angel, and that's when we're going to get into some of the DC talks as well, is that DC/Vertigo Comics has done a really, really amazing job at portraying how Lucifer and God's kind of relationship is, in that Lucifer in the comics, his entire power base is actually just the angel, like, immortality and the ability to fly when he has his wings and such, plus the ability to show off what's called his devil face, which you can find in the TV show Lucifer, which is now being canceled, #save Lucifer. But digression a little bit here, it also talks about the fact that his power, or the Morningstar ability or power that he later gives to Maze or Mazikeen, is basically the ability to shape real matter that currently exists and shape it into something else. Take something that currently really exists within this universe or Earth and then form it into something else. Which, by the way, is a good little, I guess, transition into the next thing we're going to be talking about, which is Monty and Shadowman quotes. And then after that, we're going to have a little segment from the Jason Blundell interview on Zombros. The reason for this is I wanted to depict and show off all the Monty quotes that I can kind of use to kind of talk about, and Shadowman quotes as well that talk about those kinds of topics, and the worm example and such. And then the Jason Blundell talking about, or from the Jason Blundell interview, Reed saying stuff along the lines of, like, this kind of series now in COD Zombies is a lot more like comics than TV or film. So we're going to now play the segments of Monty quotes and Shadowman quotes from the Revelations map, and then we're going to play the little snippet of the Jason Blundell interview and those kinds of things. And then after that, we'll be talking a little bit more about some other examples here.
In the beginning, and believe me, there was a beginning, everything was in its proper place. Time was linear, just as it should be. But a little thing called element 115 changed all that. Especially when, what was it again? Oh, yes, when group 935 came along. Once they started messing around with it, they buggered everything up. 115 shouldn't even exist in your dimension. But nonetheless, here we are. Bloody teleporters. Once element 115 came along, the Apothicons weren't far behind. Have I mentioned them yet? The Apothicons are beings that feed on energy. Wait, that's an oversimplification. Energy is a rather broad term. I mean, it may be better to explain it as the spark of life, the purest form of energy that ever existed. Is that better? I'm not sure. Sounded a bit hippity-dippity new agey when I said it out loud. Anyway, this energy, the Apothicons, feed on it. They conquer and consume dimensions. It's kind of their thing. The ball-crushingly bad news is that their appetite is ferocious, voracious, insatiable even. They're hungry. Very hungry. Bottom line, if you don't sort shit out, they're going to gobble up this universe just like they gobbled up. I knew a bloke, and I'm talking way, way, way back. He was the sweetest, most charming individual you could ever wish to meet. He was funny too. We used to have such a good old laugh together. Honestly, my sides hurt thinking about it. He was my friend. He was my best friend. And then the Apothicons got hold of him. Since then, he's pretty much acted as their agent, zipping around the galaxy. Wait, I keep changing it, don't I? Which do you prefer, universe, multiverse, omni-fucking-verse? Oh, it doesn't really fucking matter, does it? Yeah, let's get on with it. Short version is, he's no longer sweet, charming, or funny. Since then, he's pretty much acted as their agent, zipping around the galaxy. Wait, I keep changing it, don't I? Oh, so which do you prefer? Universe, multiverse, omniverse? It doesn't really matter, does it really? Short version is, he's no longer sweet, charming, or funny. He's what brought them here when he escaped the key. I know it's the same old story. The forces of good and evil battling it out. Yeah, but no one ever tells you how much hard work it fucking is. You know, I'm not all powerful. It's always been a struggle to stay on top of it. Now more than ever. If it had been entirely up to me, it would have been a lot more straightforward, I tell you. Do what you can, eh? Here's something. The Keepers, an ancient order who had been granted the wisdom to see beyond the limitations of their own realm. Even while the rest of mankind scrabbled around in the dirt, drinking their own piss, the Keepers took the mantle of benevolent watchers. For the life of me, I really can't remember what the hell it was. It's too much information sometimes, know what I mean? I know you must be struggling to take it all in, but can you imagine how I feel? I've got heartfelt prayers for the angels, dying people's wish lists and letters to fucking Santa coming out of my bleeding ears. And it's hard to keep up, honestly. I hardly ever get any time for myself, or even just time to stand back and appreciate all the good that I've done. And now, I've got the bloody Shadowman and the Apothicons throwing an intergalactic spanner in the works. I know the Shadowman's probably talking to you. Don't trust him. He's evil. I wouldn't piss on him if he was on fire. I bet he's saying all sorts of terrible things, spreading all kinds of rumors about me. By the way, I spell rumors with a U. After the O before the R. That's a nice little Easter egg. In fact, it's everything. The minute you people teleported for the first time, you changed the rules. How am I supposed to keep track if you keep moving the pieces? Even when you were just a little problem brewing in the far corner of existence, I tried to throw you a bone or two. I told you this, didn't I? The magic box of weapons, the little clues here and there. I always tried to give you a little help, without drawing too much attention to myself. The thing is, though, I can't just magic things out of thin air. I have to manipulate things that already exist in your reality. Like the perk drinks. They were something originally cooked up by Group 935. I just use them for my own ends. I honestly don't even know how they work. I swear. As for the songs, don't get me started. Something else I should probably clarify. This is it. The ether. The infinite. Otherwise known as Agartha. Or is it Agartha? Well, whatever way you slice it, or spell it, it's the reality beyond. Beyond the world you know. Beyond your perception. Just so we're clear, I'm absolutely not talking about death. That's a whole other can of worms. Speaking of which, You know how people say when you cut a worm in half, both parts keep on living? Well, they do. Kind of, for a bit. But then one of them dies, not sure if it's the arse or the head. Well, that's the problem with worms. They're a bit short on distinguishing features. What was the point I was on?
You do realize that he's manipulated you? That's what he does. Dr. Monty is just one of the many names he's been known by. The Great Dragon, the Beast. Is this ringing any bells? Beelzebub, Lucifer, Satan, the Devil. Do you not see you are being deceived? Be warned, my patience with you will only last so long. Do you not see the power Dr. Monty holds over you? Do you not realize to deny me is to invite doom? Do you not see the glory of the Apothegons? I can help you! Only through me can you find salvation! Are you so eager to ensure your destruction? Do not say I didn't warn you. Soon you will beg for my mercy. You simple-minded fools! Do you really believe you have a chance? I offered you redemption, but you chose to embrace death. This universe belongs to the Apothegons. You will be consumed. It is already over. You have followed a path marked by lies and deceit. I offered you the chance to enter the beautiful blue light, and you denied my mercy! Your suffering will be endless, your torture unimaginable. Many others have failed. Why would you be any different? Are you so foolish and ignorant to believe that you are on the right side of destiny? This has always only ended one way. I have foreseen it. It is time to finish this. Has he told you what happens to you? What happens should you win the war? I'll tell you. I'm the only one that will be honest with you. You, all of you, will simply cease to exist. Despite everything you've done, everything you fought so hard for, you will simply fade away. He's not even a real doctor. I would know.
That makes sense. And I feel like a lot of people might be missing it right now, and I was too before we talked at the Zombie Chronicle event. I very much reflect the zombie storyline as a movie or an Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, where it's very much a reflection of comics. I very much see it as how it's the ongoing story of these characters in a universe that's much larger than what we expect. Even the parallels that I now see between the Keepers and the Apothecons that we see within human nature and everything that we're going through is so exciting. What you did in Zombie Chronicles allowed us to finally move forward. And at first I wasn't able because we barely got to see the timeline when we were first there. But as we've had time to process that, I've really enjoyed this fact that we could kind of put some other things to rest, but finally move forward. And that
was the goal.
Okay, guys, so what we have established with all of those different quotes and that little Jason Blundell snippet is basically the concept that not only is Jason trying to make everything about this grand multiverse in the sense of we know that there is a multiverse now, and not only that, we know that he's basically just sat there and nodded his head and said when Reed was talking about how he is trying to make the zombie storyline, a lot more like comics. Now, Reed has actually now more recently tweeted that he sees this almost now more like it is the DC multiverse rather than how it is for, say, example being, you know, how we interpreted it before, where it's just the three spirals and such. He tweeted that literally, I think it was either the day of or the day after the Black Ops 4 reveal event. Now, getting into the Black Ops 4 stuff, we're gonna get to that soon. But to talk about all the stuff to do with the Monty and Shadowman quotes, the reason I put in the Shadowman quote is not only is he calling Dr. Monty Lucifer, the devil, and Satan, all those differing synonyms, I believe the proper term. I'm not a literary expert, unfortunately, but after he called him that, he then has a lot of quotes about, don't you see you're being deceived? And the way he says it isn't that of like, he doesn't sound a lot of the time in those quotes like he's being deceptive, like the I have been watching, I have seen. Like, he's not talking like that. He's talking like the really, really angsty person that has been fighting somebody, and he's like, don't you see? Like, he genuinely believes that not only is he correct and right, but he genuinely is like, he's trying to like shake us and be like, how do you not see what's going on right now? That kind of stuff. That is what's crazy right now, is that it's really, really like, he's definitely not trying to be, in a way, he's not trying to be persuasive. He's being like, I'm telling you the facts here. And then I wanted to talk about how Dr. Monty talks about the Keepers and the Shadowman and all the differing things about talking about how he has to listen to all the angels' prayers, or prayers to the angels and stuff. And you'll notice in my gameplay in the background here, I'm playing on the map Origins, and we know for a fact that Monty is on Origins because I don't have the interview that it happens on, but I know for a fact that Jason Blundell has basically done the confirming nods and stuff when someone was talking about how Monty's presence on Origins with the red scarf that we see all over random posts and such, which is to say that Monty was watching during the events of Origins. And why is that important? Because Origins is a very, very, very important map. Not only for the fact that it's doing a reboot, but it's our first kind of map. And I have a little bit of a theory that's kind of about the fact that a lot of the kind of songs that we have for intro cutscenes and Easter egg songs and such may or may not have prevalence to our story. I mean, Origins had the Shepherd of Fire song from Avenged Sevenfold, which if you listen to it and you know enough about the Bible and about how like the Jesus stuff is really reminiscent of Jesus. Shepherd of Fire in reference to the fact that Jesus is the shepherd of all things, and then the classic story of someone, I think the person's an Egyptian, praying to their god to basically strike down a bull, and that the Egyptian gods in this story do nothing, and then the man prays to the Christianity god, and he strikes down the bull, and the bull catches fire, which God and Jesus are the Holy Trinity, all that good stuff. But there's countless other examples of things, like for example how Origins also had the song Archangel, which archangels have a lot of lore about them, but that's not the point of this video. The point of this video is to talk about the fact that the Keepers and the Apothicons, well, Nixaru said, yes, they're pretty much that referencing of, like, angels and demons. I don't think it's that way. I think it's a lot more like the Keepers are angels, and that the Apothicons, while you might say are the demons, I think it's a lot more like they're the fallen angels, because that's actually what the entirety of the story pretty much represents when it comes to those aspects, is the whole concept of fallen angels and those kinds of things. Okay, and I'm not gonna really go and try and do a whole lot of biblical quoting, like I said. The only Bible quote I'm going to throw out there is from Matthew 10:34 and 35. And in this quote is to talk about the fact that, realistically speaking, we don't have all the answers, but this could be how anyone could quote something from the Bible and portray it as what someone says that they're trying to be like. With how Monty's trying to be like, I'm trying to make the perfect peaceful world. But then we also think of Jesus as a like peace on earth kind of person. And now we get to the Bible quote, which is, like I said, Matthew 10, 34 and 35, where Jesus said, "Do not think that I came to bring peace on earth. I did not come to bring peace, but a sword. For I came to set a man against his father, and a daughter against her mother, and a daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law." And basically he's just saying that he's trying to separate people and make people turn against one another. Which, again, that's an easy parallel that we can draw here to the Call of Duty Zombies storyline, because if you remember quotes from Garage Rovi, Dr. Monty is literally trying to turn our crew against each other in that map. And then all of a sudden in Revelations, he's all like, "Oh yeah, all this good stuff." And there's a lot of talk right now talking about how we might get more ideas about where the red eyes and such come from. Honestly, I think the eyes prevalence, well, I think it was in the Zombres episode where Jason said that sometimes there is a significance and sometimes there isn't a significance to the eyes. But I think, honestly, that for the maps that have red eyes, I think it's secretly when Monty's in control. Secretly. Because most of us don't tend to think about the whole Monty being in control thing. But anyway, again, I gotta do some digression because I keep straying off paths here. But the point I'm trying to get across here is that the Keepers and the Apothicons definitely are that kind of like, oh yeah, there's the idea of biblical references in our storyline is irrefutable, 100%, no doubt about it. We can't say that there isn't, because there's clearly 100% there. But to say what they mean, we will never know. But I think that it's easy for us to try and say it's highly likely to be this or that. Now, to get into some of the stuff for Black Ops 4, I think that it kind of talks about the fact that there are more than just the Christian kind of gods and entities and supernatural forces at work here. In the sense that in the new map 9, which I talked about in my video yesterday / today, I was editing and doing all this recording and stuff like on the same day, but it just released the day after. Anyway, in the map 9, we see a lot of kinda sorta, like some people are saying Roman, some people are saying like ancient Greece. I'm saying more like Egypt, but that I based that off of Assassin's Creed Origins, which, great video, shameless plugging, I'll have it in the description. But I honestly think that it's really, really easy for me to try and say that there are more than just kind of Christian gods, which more so adds to my theory that, not only theory, but now people are also kind of thinking it, that Treyarch and Jason Blundell is trying to make the entirety of the Call of Duty Zombies story more than just Primus Victus Ultimus, which, by the way, I'm not getting into how upset I am about Primus being on Blood of the Dead, aka Monty Dead Remastered, okay? But we're gonna get into the fact that literally my biggest thing here is that it's now more than just them. It's bigger characters that are more about the whole, like the idea is that Primus and like the Ether story, now that it's being referred to, the main stuff that we have from World at War all the way to Black Ops 3, and now with Blood of the Dead, and I hope that it sticks at just Blood of the Dead. I don't want to see Primus again in Black Ops 4 apart from Blood of the Dead, please. But apart from that, right, that stuff is all the Ether story. Now we're gonna make another story that is based around the new characters, which honestly I've tried to start trying to remember them, and I haven't quite done it yet, but we'll get there. But point being is that the idea is that it's almost like how if you watch a lot of the Marvel Netflix stuff, or even the DC stuff on just normal television, it's basically the same idea as that the Ether stuff is like Daredevil, say, and then this new crew and this new kind of story stuff is like Jessica Jones. And then maybe eventually we'll get, you know, a crossover event similar to the size and magnitude eventually of like Marvel's Infinity War or something like that. Things along those lines is how I'm seeing how it's going to be going here. And the reason I more related it to DC's multiverse is because DC's multiverse actually makes a lot more sense and stuff. Mostly because they've revealed that map that we're going to be showing on screen either now or, you know, throughout the video. And the one image that I do have where it's got like a square around the heaven and hell is just to prove the point that heaven and hell actually exist within the DC universe. And then the bigger one is going to show you the entire map and stuff. And it's going to show you that there's a ring called the Sphere of the Gods, which has different stuff like Olympus, and I believe it as well, the underworld or Hades in it. And it's like, okay, Greek gods are real, but so are Christian gods. And that's where I think we're definitely going, is that Egyptian gods, or maybe Greco-Roman or something like that, are real in this universe and have influence, but so are Christian aspects. So, and my biggest thing for what I think the best comparisons we can make between Monty, the Shadowman, the Keepers, the Apothecons, and the Christianity can also be drawn to the TV series Supernatural. I feel as though Dr. Monty and the Shadowman used to be two halves of the whole of Lucifer, and now they're separated, and realistically they're both a little piece of the puzzle of Lucifer, and that they're both manipulating, they're both liars, but they both are like telling us half truths, which we can all kind of agree upon. The idea that they both lie and manipulate. But here's the other thing, though, is that I feel like they're also on the level of, say, like Castiel from the series of Supernatural, or maybe even Lucifer, because he exists there as well. But basically, they're on the level of like an archangel, someone who's insanely powerful, no doubt about it, but they're not as powerful as we give them credit. And this is one of the things I wanted to talk about with Nick Zaru's video. Nick Zaru's video very much talks about how Monty could do this, Monty could do that, in the sense of like Monty's quote in Revelations where he's like, I could just erase you from all of existence. I think he's bullshitting us, in the sense of he's trying to make us feel like he is God, or he's trying to make us feel like he is amazingly, you know, super powerful. He can just make things happen in a certain way. Also, I don't have the Garage Proby quote, but another thing that might add the idea of, you know, Monty being part of that whole Lucifer thing is the whole him saying it was my idea for free will, which again draws the parallel to the DC interpretation, is that that's all that the DC character of Lucifer really cares about, is trying to get himself and other people free will. And if you need another comparison as to how powerful Monty can be while still being the same kind of example that you see in DC's Lucifer, like Vertigo Comics, aka DC's Lucifer, goes and creates his own existence. He gets what's called a letter of passage, or a writ of passage, from the presence, aka God, and goes out of the existence into what's known as the void, which is the white outline around the big multiverse map, and then he goes and creates his own existence. He has his own Big Bang. He basically becomes God of his own creation. He later then puts it back into the writ of passage paper that he has that allowed him to do it in the first place, and I believe he even hands it off to Mazikeen or Maze as well. But this is the thing, is that he's insanely powerful, but he's only so powerful at the same time. Like I said, his power is basically limited to using what it already is and then manipulating it. Where do we see it in exact, almost carbon copy, or like carbon like mimicry of that? That's right. We saw earlier in our Shadowman and Monty quotes. Monty literally says that about how even you know, a while ago, while you guys were still just a little thorn in my side, I was giving you little help here and there by letting the perk drinks and all the guns and stuff. Which, by the way, is just stupid retconning that Treyarch did, but that's what he says. But anyways, guys, I wanted to just try and portray a lot of this type of information. I think that that's the kind of overall scope of what we're going for. Eventually, is that there's going to be a lot of characters and a lot of stuff going on, and eventually we might get a huge crossover, you know, Black Ops 7 or something. I don't know. I'm just assuming that there's going to be those kinds of things. But that's where I see that Treyarch Zombies is going to be going. And maybe, you know, maybe because they're all under Call of Duty, maybe we'll get something that is just World War II Exos and IW Zombies plus this Treyarch Zombies doing a crossover. I doubt it, and I really hope not, but it could happen all the same, because it's all owned by Activision, and Activision can realistically do whatever they want. But anyways, guys, I wanted to try and portray all this information. I wanted you guys to get the sense of what the hell I was talking about, and I wanted you guys to kind of get the context of what I want to try and portray, in the sense that, realistically speaking, the references that we already have to biblical stuff is irrefutable, but the interpretations of it so far that I've seen are a little bit, not lacking, but a little, not even frustrating either, that's not correct. It's just, I don't know. It's hard for me to say that you're wrong or you're right, but this is how I'm seeing it. And one other thing that I do want to mention, guys, is that there's certain things on our timeline that we got with Zombie Chronicles that we can be like, yes, this is more than likely how it has to be. But at the same time, don't take everything in the timeline as holy writ or as gospel, or, for lack of a better way of saying it, don't take it as just all the truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God. Because if I recall correctly, not only has Jason Blundell said that it changes depending on who's reading it, but there's also a passage on the timeline that talks about the fact that realistically all we're seeing is just a page of the Chronorium. Okay, the Chronorium is a lot bigger than just the timeline. Alright, so I just wanted to throw some of these ideas out there. I wanted to kind of give my 10 cents on a few things like that. My overall initial thoughts about what we've seen at the Black Ops 4 reveal. Blood of the Dead is something we were predicting for pretty much since Zombie Chronicles, that Mob of the Dead remaster was going to happen. But the whole having it as Primus instead of Victus, I'm a little bit upset about it, but I can see what may or may not happen with that, so I see what it may or may not be, and it may or may not prove my entire thesis idea about how the cycle really is. Again, I have a video on that, and I'll put that in the description below. Shameless plugging, I know. But that's kind of my thoughts on that. I wasn't really all that, hyped about being like, yay, Primus is back. I was more like, great, Primus is back. I really hope we don't see them any other map aside from Blood of the Dead, because it's already going to be hard for us to explain depending on what they do, so it's a little bit finicky. Voyage of Despair, it looks really cool. The whole idea of doing the Titanic thing is awesome. I kind of grew up not only watching the movie, but I also I went on a tour in the city I live in years upon years ago that was talking about the Titanic. I thought the Titanic was super cool. It should be interesting to see how that goes, and I liked how Jason was announcing that. Wouldn't it be nice if they went somewhere nice? As for map 9, I already talked a little bit about my thoughts on 9 with the video, the trailer, and stuff like that. But honestly, I think 9 is definitely a little bit of that ancient Egyptian feel, and it's going to be very interesting. And I've already sort of said that I think that it's highly likely that we're going to have that probably as our like most likely to be the map that's more like the tutorial and like the how-to simple combat and get an idea of things and stuff like that. Apparently, according to Mr. Raffle Waffles, Jason told him that it's not just all melee, so that's interesting to say the least. But yeah, guys, that is pretty much my thoughts on most of that stuff. I'm excited for we're going to have 3 launch maps. If I was to say what map I'm going to play first, I would say probably it's going to be 9, and then Voyages of Despair, and then probably Blood of the Dead. I'm going to probably play them in that order, and it'll be like quick sessions, and you guys can look for that and beta stuff on my channel coming up whenever it comes up, and coverage of pretty much everything that comes out as it comes out. As long as it's not a leak, I don't cover leaks. I only cover real content, and the only time I talk about leaks is to usually refute them, because that's what I do with my life. Anyways, this is now a very long video, and I do hope you enjoyed. Please leave your thoughts down below in the comments or on Twitter, and be sure to leave a like if you did enjoy or agree. Let me know what you think. If you disagree, let me know on Twitter or on, on here in the comments down below. Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. I've been Treyarch Zombies, or KZ, and thank you so much for your time and watching my videos, and have a good one.